Anne has been in the board before, so she really is very good at telling the history.
So ISEA started in 1988. It was funded in the Netherlands, and bit by bit it became a nomadic symposium with an exhibition that encourages the dialogue and the discourse that started from electronic arts with science, technology, and slowly on the whole notion of electronic arts is, of course, changed over the years because everything is electronic, one could state. That's not totally true, but nevertheless, the name remained the same, and over the years, it became an international nomadic organization that is organized by ISEA International, and Pat and me are now board members of ISEA International, and that is the mother organization for all the international editions of ISEA.
I'm really very excited. I don't know if it's a paradigm shift, but I think that it's happened quite naturally. That from the ISEA that happened once every 2 years, ISEA now happening every year has opened up the possibility for different areas of the world, rather than being this ping pong between Europe and North America, and also the experience of being in ISEA, it has brought to light that there are electronic practices all over the world. That is to say, the people presenting. All of a sudden you have somebody from Africa, all of a sudden you have somebody from Latin America. And I think that because we are observant and conscious of these things, it just was a very organic moving towards an opening up to knowledge systems within other cultures and digital electronic practices that take place in places where ISEA initially was not paying attention to that. So I think that this is not a paradigm shift per se, but that it's an organic movement towards this local situationism within electronic arts.
Probably we can both make a comment because
It's
that
very
is a
subjective.
very personal.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
give it a
Yeah,
start.
yeah. Give your opinion.
Over the years, I think the awareness of the connection with the local community is not only reflected by the different places where ISEA was organized, but also engagement with the community is a trend that is visible in a lot of art and science collaboration works in ISEA, and that I see as a growing trend over the last decade.
Yes, from my subjective experience, and also taking into consideration that ISEA, what makes ISEA ISEA is the fact that there is this sort of mother organization that hands over a structure for a host to bring that local knowledge, as opposed to other organizations that have a symposium that may be nomadic or not, but it's always the imposition of that branding. So we try to really highlight the local culture and the local knowledge. And from my subjective experience is that there is a group of international participants that you will pretty much find in every ISEA, but ISEA itself is very different from year to year. Every time that I go to ISEA, I learn something new. Why? Not only because my colleagues that go from ISEA to ISEA that are international in nature, their practice is always evolving because this is an experimental practice, but also because I learn from new and emerging scholars and artists that are presenting at ISEA, and I find that so very exciting. So to see this cross-cultural cross-generational and transversal input differs from every ISEA, which to me is a fantastic experience. I'll start because I was here before.
Yeah, you were here before.
So I have sort of a little history with Manizales, a little history. I was privileged to be here at Festival de Imagen in 2014, and of course I fell in love not only with Manizales but with the team, with Felipe, who became a rector that very year, and Paula and Cristina and all of the fantastic team that make this festival happen. So that now there's this merger of these, the history of the festival with the history of ISEA cross-pollinating. I find that really, really beautiful. And as for Colombia, there's been a movement towards peace that has had its own trajectory, and it's still a process. But I see that process having developed from 2014 to 2017, and I'm very, very happy to be here at this moment, especially because it is a theme of ISEA, which has been, I think, handled very nicely, and I've learned a lot through the presentations about what that theme might mean to other people as well, and other cultures going through processes that may be similar.
For me, it's my first time in Colombia, so I'm really thrilled to be here, especially at this point in time when the peace process is in progress. And I'm really impressed by the positive energy I experience in Manizales. And prior to ISEA, I was also lucky to be a guest professor for a two-day seminar with master students of the design department here. And that learned me a lot about the positive energy, but also the motivation for people to do good and to be part of these exciting times in Manizales and Colombia. So that's, I think, also for ISEA a very good moment to be here and very special. What I like about the way the networks are developed in and around ISEA is that it has this very interesting combination of the local, the global, and everything in between. It is a strong network that exists over time, but it's renewed, and new kind of nodes in the networks are added by each edition of ISEA. So now we have a Manizales, a Colombian node in the network that I definitely think will coexist within the network over the longer run. And that means we have a Latin American node in our network where we are really proud of.
And to sort of add to that, there has been a network in Latin America already. We have Redaxur, we have other networks that are inter-universities that perhaps weren't necessarily linked to other networks. Or yes, I mean, people that belong to one list will also belong to another. But the reality is that there is a very, very strong Latin American contingent here at this ISEA. In other ISEAs, some scholars and artists have had the initiative to create a Latin American forum, which of course introduced that network into the ISEA family. But I think that after this, we are going to see formalized relationships of Latin American networks being formed with those, for example, in Durban. That's already happening formally. So that the networks that existed here somehow through ISEA connect to other networks that have their own networks, and the circulation of knowledge, I think, is going to be far more reaching and far more exciting. And I think that being on the board, I'm particularly happy to see that ISEA has this function, the function to create networks and connect people with people, and scholars with scholars, and ideas with ideas, and knowledge systems with other knowledge systems.